Good afternoon, Mr. Barber. We met a couple weeks back, um, and we kind of went over some problems that GTA was coming across. And I wanted to meet with you a second time to inform you that I have found some solutions to those problems that you mentioned in our last meeting. But before we move straight into the solutions, I would kind of like to recap what we did last meeting. I asked you some situational questions about the company as a whole. I asked you some problem questions, and then some implication questions that go along with those problems. So I'm going to read those off to you just as a refresher what we did talked about, and you answered all these accordingly and truthfully. So the first group of questions that we went over was some situational questions, and here are some that I asked. How many locations does GTA have, and how many employees are at each location? Roughly how many seminars does Global Training Associates hold per week or per year? Where do you see Global Training Associates in the next couple of years compared to its competitors? And lastly, what is the current financial situation with GTA? Is it a profit or loss? And again, you answered those accordingly. Getting into the problem questions that we went over, I asked you, does any GTA trainer have trouble finding the training supplies? Has GTA had any problems with not receiving the correct materials? And lastly, has there been any delays while shipping the materials to the training site? Some of the implication questions that came off of those, based off of those problems that I asked you, were: how does miscommunication while receiving the training material affect the trainer? What happens when the trainer receives the material but it's the wrong material? And lastly, if the training materials are not delivered at all, what happens during the training? Okay. And so moving on to the solutions to these problems. So we're going to start off with the first problem. Does any trainer have trouble finding the training supplies? So here's the solution I would like to propose to you. FedEx office could leave a note at the front desk saying where the package was left, that it was delivered, and who was working that day and took that package. This just being because there could be a lot of confusion, at the front desk, and there is who knows how many employees are going to be working within that week between when the package gets dropped off to when the trainer arrives to come pick it up. Some specific features from that solution would be the note left at the front desk, and then some beneficiaries with that solution would be the trainer, in which the package is picking or belongs to, and the front desk clerk. Mainly because it's a lot easier and there's a lot less miscommunication going on, and everyone knows where the package is, and it's just so much easier to pick up the package and be able to use that during the training. So the second problem that I asked about was: has GTA had any problems with not receiving the correct material? And the solution that I have found for that problem would be FedEx office could push their employees to work some overtime so that the process of printing and binding slows down and makes room for less errors. And basically, if the employees work more or longer shifts, they don't have to work as fast, right? So there's less room for error. And then some of the specific features from that solution would be the overtime pay, because they would be getting paid for the overtime. And then obviously the trainer would be able to present the correct materials. Some beneficiaries from that second solution would be employees at the FedEx office making more money because they're getting paid for overtime. The trainer being able to use the correct training materials, and the client that GTA is hosting the training for, because they'll be able to receive the correct materials. And the last problem was, has there been any delays while shipping the materials to the training site? So the solution that I came across would is FedEx office could add a little bit more technology to their office, right? So the workers or the employees will have to do less work, which speeds up the process, takes the stress off of those workers, and making sure those training materials are done on time in order for the trainer to present them at the training. The specific features for solution number 3 is just technology, add more technology. And the beneficiaries from this solution would be the FedEx employees, because they have less stress on their backs. The GTA trainers being able to present something, right? Because if the training materials are late, then the trainer is going to have to wing it, I'm assuming. So that at least they get to present something. And the client gets an effective trainer, because if the trainer has to wing it, he might, at least when he has the training materials, he has a plan before he goes, and that plan is based off the training materials. So therefore, that client will be learning accordingly. But other than that, I hope those solutions can help GTA here in the next future. And I had a pleasure meeting with you these past 2 times, and I would like to speak with you again. Thank you.